Yo, 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 what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Wow, what a day. Steve calls at the perfect time. And then, of course, we get the movement. Jokes aside, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's video is going to help you understand the narrative of this move. And hopefully we can make sense of what could actually happen with Bitcoin coming into tomorrow's New York session. All right? Now, why am I making reference to the New York session? Because, guys, this is where the movement happens. The UK session initiates the setup from Asia, and then the US session is going to decide with the follow-through. What day is it today, guys? It's Thursday, and we anticipate a midweek reversal. Now, if you're watching last night's video, we were talking about the idea that Bitcoin needed to fall down just that little bit more, with the idea that they were going to reverse back up on the idea that news was going to be negative for the US. And that's exactly what had happened. You see, if we go over to the dollar index itself, Bitcoin can only move up if the dollar index is dropping down. Okay, and we saw that. Happy days. Dollar index is dropping. Bitcoin is moving back up. Dollar index is depreciating. So any asset against the US dollar is now going up. Look at Euro USD. Nice move to the upside. We would have mentioned this a couple of days ago with the rise, retrace, continuation. And then we've got also dollar yen that has taken a bleed to the downside. But the move hasn't been somewhat aggressive with yen, which is a little bit concerning given that we want yen to drop down, considering that it's had a great time with this move to the upside. And for how long? I mean, look at that. It's phenomenal. Okay. So what I'm looking to do tonight, guys, is just to dive into the idea of what's going on with Bitcoin and how we can exploit this behavior in relation to the hybrid system. So, depends on what time frame you're going to make a decision from. It's going to reflect how long you're going to be in a trade. Now, of course, during the New York sessions, these are the best times to exploit movement. All right. Now, the problem in the crypto space is if one candle moves higher, Bitcoin is now going to the moon. No, that's not how it works. All right. This has to be a progressive thing. Most aren't patient with the idea that one movement has to continue and it has to progress and it has to develop. You see, Bitcoin has made its way all the way down to last year's previous low, and it's respected the vector candle principle. And we've also started diving into previous vector points, but now it's starting to pull away from that zone. Happy days. But is that enough for us to just go all in and just hope that Bitcoin continues higher? Listen, I'm always going to be favorable for Bitcoin to the upside. Always. Yippee-ki-yay to the upside, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's about for me. But when there is an opportunity to exploit movement to the downside, to the upside, I can't come to the charts with a bias. I can only see what's happening in the charts and make my decisions from there. All right? Now, for anyone that is a holder, okay, today would have been a great opportunity for you to pick up some Bitcoin. All right? Let's make the assumption that you did. All right? Witness what has happened. Going into the start of the UK session down here, all right, we have got the consecutive hits to the low. Now, the daily open was tested twice, okay? And you can see right in this zone right here, you have got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits to the low. Now, if we actually come away from this narrative, ladies and gentlemen, we would either see this as a triple or a quadruple bottom, as some people call it. We've got a W formation right there, okay? Now, remember the W formation, it's not a static pattern, it's a structure. And the idea is that the longer you train your eyes and sit through price action, you are going to start seeing its development, okay? We can see that it is a potential inverted head and shoulders. So that will be the left shoulder. This will be the head. And then, of course, this would be the right shoulder. Happy days. The first green vector candle that breaks above the moving average, especially the 50 and the 5 and 13 EMA, happy days. You'd place a long in this zone right here, okay? Your profit target would be the 800 EMA. So what if Bitcoin continues higher? Yep, it would have moved a little bit higher. But if you were watching the streams, ladies and gentlemen, with the assistance of the bookmap itself, okay, we would have understood that this liquidity up here was present. Look at the Bitcoin right there. 437 Bitcoin was stacked at 30K and it remained at that point. You see, usually the bookmap itself places an order and removes it. Now, the way you understand that is if you zoom in, you can see these gaps in price. Can you see these little gaps? An example of, see that, where the orange line finalizes? So that was liquidity that was in the order book, okay? But it got removed. And the idea is that when price makes its way towards that point, it's going to trigger the same interest of traders at that point in time, okay? Now, of course, above the liquidity is the limit sells, below is the limit buys, okay? Which is why when you're considering the market maker, when we see and witness the delta, which is these little bubbles right here, as they start to increase at the highest point, we then need to start being aware of our positions. Why? Because the market maker sells into the trader that is buying, okay? So this sell side liquidity right here gets activated, and the market maker can see the retail trader stepping in, and he's going to keep selling and selling. In other words, going short, 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 closing his longs from previous positions that he had built. Remember, this dropped to the downside, and we were waiting to see if the commitment of traders was going to come in at this point. Mr. Market Maker steps in with the green delta bubble right there with a batch of Bitcoin at that point in time, and then he finalizes the range and shifts out, rise, retrace, continuation to the upside. That is what we do in the streams. We break down the talk, the conversation, and understand Mr. Market Maker's behavior, okay? Now look, you can see that Bitcoin has done a great job of testing this psychological low. We said it in the stream, which is why I encourage you to watch the previous streams after whatever is uploaded onto the channel. Why? Because you're going to get the before, and then hopefully the afterwards plays into the next video, okay? The confluence of the 200 EMA and the psychological low was massive. Look how they respected that pivot point right there. And the idea was that if the M2 pivot zone down here was to confirm, then we would project the M4 projection zone. All right, we didn't get it. We were off by, how much were we off by, ladies and gentlemen? We were off by $200. I'll take that. Who ain't going to take that? I'll take it. We ain't going to get it 100%. But they navigated towards the psychological high, and they hit that beautiful 30K, and they had absorbed all of that liquidity in that zone right there. Okay? Now, moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, how can you use this understanding with your trading? Now, listen. The problem that I've got now with Bitcoin is this. Going into Friday, we know Friday is notorious for its position building and, of course, its run for profit. So has this move to the upside set Bitcoin up to come back down again? Because frankly, Bitcoin is still in this structure and we haven't had a clean breakaway. And yet again, that 200 EMA is still acting as a problem for us. Okay? Now, the problem is that the psychological high and the 200 EMA are starting to behave in confluence with each other. It's acting as a strong resistance. Just look at Bitcoin's move here and then consider the left side and then look what is going on. We are seeing lower attempts at the highs, which is consistent with the market maker building his shorts above the key notable area. All throughout the week, Mr. Market Maker has been building shorts above this key 30K range, okay? And he keeps breaking down aggressively. For every attempt up, he brings it back down. Brings it up, pulls it back down, pushes up, pulls it back down. Are we going to see exactly the same with this scenario right here? Maybe. Now, it may only pull back in the short term to come back down and test this 50 EMA. Happy days. We want to see a contraction on the moving averages, so where they come together and then they shift out again to expand, which would lead price to move higher. Now, of course, this move to the upside was fueled by the Nasdaq itself moving up, yet Nasdaq didn't really move that aggressively to the upside, okay? But Bitcoin's volatility led the journey, okay? So now we're seeing Nasdaq moving up, which in principle would see Bitcoin moving up ever so slightly. Happy days. But the problem is we are back into that psychological high as a resistance, and it's going to be a problem if Bitcoin can't get above this point. We are naturally going to expect price to retrace back down. Going on to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we have got a clean rejection of that 50 EMA, which is the 200 EMA on the 1-hour time frame. All right. Now, the problem I've got is this wick right here. I don't like this wick, never have liked it, and it's always going to be a problem for us. Okay. What we want to see, guys, is Bitcoin, if this move isn't going to sustain, Bitcoin needs to come all the way back down again and break this vector point and then initiate the same behavior here and then aggressively move back out. Okay? Because what I want to see Bitcoin do here is print a red vector candle, which would be an opportunity for them to come back towards later on. Look left and you know what I'm talking about. Okay? Unless Bitcoin cleans the 50 EMA on the 4-hour time frame, this move to the upside is nothing. But it's great for the day trader. Pay yourself, get out, start again tomorrow. Now, the reason why I don't like to trade on a Friday is because I, of course, have my daughter and I want to spend time with her. But more importantly, Fridays in the past have been tricky days. Why? Because sometimes they don't even do anything. But they sometimes also prepare price for the weekend. So that's why I trade only Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Because if you're not making money on the days that the market moves aggressively towards zones, then why are you going to try and take a stab at it on a Friday where you could get shaken out and be hit with a surprise move? Okay? Remember, Friday is the weekend. Friday is the final day of trading for the markets across the board with the exception of Bitcoin. All right? So if they're going to set up price for the following week, Friday will reveal if they're going to go into a position building or they're going to run for profit. In other words, will they reverse price all the way back down and start coming into this wick to the downside? This is what we're looking to see. Hopefully, Bitcoin can actually hold these moves to the upside, okay, and consolidate in and around this zone right here. I would want it to at least recover more than 50% of the vector candle, and then going into Asian session tonight, we would like to see Bitcoin move higher, okay? But there's a problem with the fact that it hasn't broken above the 50 EMA, which could be the reason for them to mark price up, for them to attempt the lows one more time, okay? Again, set your charts up so that you're not surprised by any moves by Bitcoin. Just look at what's going on over here. Remember what we said. Vector candles have been fully recovered. Look at that. That vector zone got recovered. This vector zone got recovered. Yet this vector point right here hasn't been recovered. And I don't like that. Okay? So if they're going to mean business, all right, they're going to try and hold the 5 and 13 EMA. Otherwise, they're going to release and drop down lower. If they do continue to go higher, ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoin would be showing the strength on the 5 and 13 EMA, and you'll see price bouncing up and down in between these two moving averages, and the 50 EMA in principle would come up towards the moving average, and then price would consolidate until the start of the next session, which will be Tokyo and Hong Kong, where we will know for sure if the move up is going to be continuous or it's going to start to pull back. Okay? Some of you may be looking at this thinking of an FTD, which is fool the dealer. In other words, when the dealer makes you believe now you can buy Bitcoin cheaper and then continues price back up and you're committed to your longs, and then he reverses it back down. So this structure right here could be developing a multi-session M right there. Okay? But we need confirmation. We need to see price aggressively clear this range. Okay? If it can't get back above this point, ladies and gentlemen, then this move would be standard with the stop hunt rise in preparation to drop it and come back down again. Again, look at this wick. It's a problem for us. I'm not seeing the aggressive nature of the market maker appearing in this zone. Look at the candlesticks. There's no vectors. This is Mr. Market Maker, and then retail trader comes in, buying the dip, sets the trap, and then continues price down again. That's what we would expect. The longer Bitcoin stays here, the more likely that the 50 EMA is going to expand and then get towards price where we would be safe in the knowledge that we wouldn't need to really wait for a retrace back down to the 50 because the 50 has come to price. But remember, that's a bit of weakness, okay? We are now waiting to see the strength of this move, because if the moving average goes to the price, that means that there's not that much momentum. But we have seen in the past that when the movement of the moving average goes to price, and then price continues higher, it would then tell us that the move does have strength. All right? I hope that makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. As I won't be going live tonight, but I'm hoping that the breakdown right there is going to bring you some insight into understanding what Bitcoin could do next, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Quickly flipping over to Ethereum. You can see Ethereum has come back up into zones that we've been projecting out for the rest of the week. It's still within its psychological range, so it's still got a lot of work to do. But more importantly, if they can't hold this psychological low, again, Ethereum will start running back down. And again, this wick, I don't like it. This vector, I don't like it. And this zone here, I do not like it. So I want to see proof. Okay? Now, if you're going to start running any shorts, ladies and gentlemen, again, wait until the start of the new Tokyo and Hong Kong session, which will be happening at 1 a.m. UK time. Okay? 1 a.m. GMT. All right? Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure this week. I want to thank every single one of you beautiful people that's passing through the live streams. I know it's a little bit chaotic and it's madness, but guys, look, keep turning up to the live streams because I promise you, you will get the hybrid system. All right? Enough respect to all of you. Take care of yourselves, family. And if you are new, be sure to like and subscribe. And I will check in with you all tomorrow. Take care of yourselves, guys. Peace.